The marathon has really undergone a huge revolution over the previous 5 or 6 years, and it really all started back in 2019 when the great Eliud Kipchoge first broke the marathon world record with a crazy fast time of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 39 seconds. This performance really rocketed the big marathon revolution for the next 3, 4, or 5 years, and given that super shoes were also starting to hit the mainstream market, millions of people from around the world got their hands on these shoes, lowered their personal bests, and also in the elite fields, we saw very fast times on the men's and women's sides, with the help of these super shoes. Now, with the help of these shoes, we saw many athletes break the 2 hour and 5 minute barrier. However, one of the big barriers that still was hard to reach was sub 2 hours and 2 minutes. And to this day, we've still only seen 3. And these include Eliud Kipchoge, Kenenisa Bekele, and the new kid on the block, Kelvin Kiptum. Now, the reason we're talking about Kelvin Kiptum in this video is because he just recently stated that he will be competing in this year's Chicago Marathon. And given his 2 previous performances that were insanely fast, we are almost guaranteed to see a new course record in Chicago go down. Now, the current course record in Chicago for the men's marathon stands at 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 45 seconds, which was achieved by Dennis Kometo back in 2013. This performance currently stands as the 36th fastest time ever run on the men's side, and curiously, on the women's side we have much more faster performances in Chicago, as some of the top performances ever, including the world record, were actually from the Chicago Marathon. In fact, if we take a look at it, the top 2 fastest times ever run on the women's side come from Chicago, with the world record at 2:14:04 from Bridget Koskay in 2019, and the second fastest time of 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 18 seconds from Ruth Chepengedich, which was achieved in last year's Chicago Marathon for 2022. I'm not entirely sure why women have historically run faster in comparison to the other fastest women's performances, while the men haven't been able to run a very fast time in Chicago. However, I fully expect that to change this season, because if Kelvin Kiptum is in the same fitness that we've seen over the past year and runs in Chicago, I think he's not only going to break 2:03, but he very well could break 2:02 once again. For his 2 marathons that he has run in his entire career, he has gone under 2 hours and 2 minutes, which makes him one of only 2 athletes to run under 2:02 on 2 separate occasions, along with the GOAT himself, Eliud Kipchoge. The thing about Chicago is that it is really a fast course. It just so happens that men mostly focus on Berlin, given its world record pedigree on that side. But if Kiptum is in good shape, not only can he break 2:02 once again, he has proven himself on various courses to be able to do that, but he could attack the world record, which sounds crazy because Berlin has been the site of the men's world record since 2003. But Kiptum has been on a lightning fast pace to change marathon history, and given the world record of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 9 seconds, which is around 2 minutes and 52 seconds per kilometer, he is just a very good marathon runner. If all the conditions are good and it proves to be the right day for Kiptum, I actually think he has a solid chance to break the world record. And while I would have loved to have seen the showdown of Kipchoge versus Kiptum in this year's Berlin Marathon, it is still very exciting that he is competing in Chicago. Now, it used to be that the big battle between Kipchoge and Kenenisa Bekele was what all marathon fans around the world wanted. They've been competing since 2003, they have constantly been towards the podium in many of the biggest world championships, but now it seems as though the big clash that many want to see is Eliud Kipchoge versus Kelvin Kiptum. Both of these athletes come from Kenya. You've got a much older athlete in Kipchoge, a seasoned veteran, the world record holder, the absolute greatest of all time, and you've got the rising athlete in Kelvin Kiptum, who always seems to run magnificent times when he hits the roads. I am very excited to see what happens in this year's Chicago Marathon, and not only Kelvin Kiptum will be running in this race, but we'll also get to see Connor Mantz and Galen Rupp returning to the roads, so that will also be very exciting. And now I want to hear from all of you. Do you think Kiptum has a chance to attack the world record in this year's Chicago Marathon? Typically it happens in Berlin, but Kiptum has just been so consistent for the past year. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, until next time.